Hey guys, welcome back to Just a Geek in the Garage. Today I want to go over my kind of Snap-on pliers collection and just kind of give a brief overview of which ones of these I actually use, which ones I kind of regret buying, and if I have to do it all over again, which ones would I buy, which ones would I skip. This is kind of similar to a video I did a few days ago for my Knipex plier collection. So hopefully this will give you guys some information to if you're thinking about buying some Snap-on tools, maybe which ones you should go for and which ones you should skip. And I'll also give you maybe some alternatives to what I have here that's a little bit cheaper that works just as well. So as you can see in front of you, I have quite a few Snap-on pliers that I've acquired over the last 30 years or so. And one thing I can tell you is obviously Snap-on pliers are great, but they're very, very expensive. I mean, on average, each one of these is probably going to be somewhere in the $60 range. Some of them, like the long nose here, the high leverage here, are going to be closer to $100, which is a lot of money to pay for a single set of pliers when you can have something that is almost as good a quality for a fraction of the price. So, I've said in other videos, if you guys have watched anything on my channel, that my most used plier in the garage is literally this little guy right here. This I acquired as part of a set that came with all three of these. This is kind of one of their most recent pliers that they came up with, just the slip joints, long needle nose, which are great. It comes in a 5-inch, a 7-inch, and 9-inch version. These 100% I would buy all day long again. And I think this set sells for about $200 on Snap-on's website. If you guys have a franchisee, sometimes they'll give you a little bit of a better deal than that. But specifically the 5-inch, again, I would buy over and over again. But if I could only have a couple, I'd probably get the 5-inch and maybe the 9-inch and skip the 7. I don't use that one quite as much. Next up, again, I've said on my channel before, my most used tool just in general is going to be a needle nose for the projects that I end up working on. And I have quite the collection of just kind of regular needle nose right here. I have their it's a 5-inch, 8-inch, oh no, I'm sorry, I think this is their 6-inch, 8-inch, 9-inch, 11-inch, and then 11-inch bent nose. So, looking back on it, these two long ones I would definitely, purchase again. They've been very, very useful. But having, all these three, I probably wouldn't buy all of them over again. The 6-inch is definitely useful, and I'd probably go from maybe the 6 to the 9 and maybe skip the 8, just because, you're not going to use, I don't use all of these all the time. And the 6, I'm sorry, the 8 and the 9 are so close in size that it's almost a bit of a waste of money. And then even these guys, I bought these thinking I would use them a lot more often. These are both the 9-inch. There's the stork nose and duckbill. I almost never use these guys. So I'm gonna start kind of taking away the ones that I'm kind of not recommending, just so you can kind of see which ones I would continue on with. So let's take this one away. Same thing when it comes to these diagonal cutters. I bought the regular ones, which work great, and the high leverage ones, the longer ones, the 11-inch. And I almost never use these. I mean, I'm sure if you guys are working on some heavy duty stuff, maybe things that are hard to get to, I could definitely see a purpose for this. But in my purposes, their regular diagonal cuts work very well. Next up is going to be these their regular kind of slip joint pliers. There's a few different versions of this. Again, I just got this guy fairly recently, just the little 5-inch one. Seems to be useful. I haven't used it a ton yet. I also have their I think this is the 6 or 7-inch with the flank drive in here. This one I probably would skip. You have their the 8-inch with the flank drive. And then you have the 8-inch kind of traditional with the teeth right here. What I would probably say is I would probably skip the traditional ones and stick with the flank drive ones, because these are much more useful if you have a bolt that you're trying to get to, but you don't want to mar it up like you would with certain teeth like this. And then you also have the 9-inch versions of these. Honestly, I'd probably skip those as well, and I'll tell you why in a second. And actually, the reasoning why kind of has to do with these linesmans. So I have the 7-inch linesmans, which these are actually great. I like these ones a lot. I also have the 9-inch linesmans, but these ones, honestly, I find myself grabbing the Klein much more often than I grab the Snap-on. And these Kleins are made in the USA. I have a video about these as well. I mean, these things are close to, I want to say almost like maybe $90, $100, somewhere kind of in that range. So very, very expensive, where these on sale could be had for about $23. I think regular price is about $30. And these, honestly, I just grab these, much more often than I do the Snap-on. And that's kind of also why I would say skip the 9-inch slip joints, because I tend to grab for these in that particular case. So, save yourself a little bit of money while still having a USA made set. And then for the slip joints, one of the reasons why I'm saying skip these guys right here is, if you can, even though these ones are pricey, this is the high leverage version of them. These ones are awesome. I mean, it's just 2-position, but when you're trying to grab onto something, I mean, these things will grab and they are not going to let go of the material that you're grabbing. So these, I think, are kind of a must-have from Snap-on. And then last up is going to be kind of for wiring. So I have these guys right here, which have the wire stripper, crimper, cutter, all built into one. And then you have this one, which is just a cutter and crimper. So again, I'll probably skip this one just to have these guys right here. So what you kind of see in front of you, probably about half of my collection of Snap-on pliers, I probably would not buy again if I had it, all to do over all, to kind of just have a do-over with purchasing these. But again, I've acquired these over many years, so I don't feel bad about having them. Again, I love all of my Snap-on pliers, but for you guys thinking about buying, Snap-on pliers, what you see in front of you is pretty much what I would probably recommend from their selection. And because you don't necessarily need every size of every plier that they have, especially when you can do with Klein tools. Klein tools are awesome. I grab those quite a bit. And actually, a kind of a shout out. I had these guys right here, but you can also get a very similar pair from Channellock, which I grab more than I grab the Snap-ons, to be honest with you. And then, in the majority of the ones that you see in front of you, Icon sells a pair also. And the Icon ones, again, I'm never going to say Icon's the same quality as Snap-on, but they're pretty close. I would say you're getting 80 or 90% of the quality. And, I know for a fact that they sell, actually, let's go through this real quick. So we have this guy, and I think it's this one. And I want to say these ones. And one last one right here. So all the ones here that I put in front of you can be had by Icon. They're going to be, red handles if you guys care about the color of the handles. Obviously, if you guys see, I prefer green. But Icon sells a version of all of these ones that I just put in front of you. And I've actually been pretty happy with the quality on them. Again, probably 80 or 90% of the quality, but instead of paying, an average of $60-$70 for a Snap-on, you're probably paying about $20 for the Icon. So tell me, what do you guys think? Do you think I made any bad choices here, and which ones I would keep and which ones I would not buy again? And again, that eternal question of Icon versus Snap-on. What do you guys think? Is Icon worth the money for a fraction of the price, or would you go Snap-on, all day long? One great thing about Snap-on, especially if you have a Snap-on dealer, which I'm very lucky that I do, is, one of these goes bad. For example, this one right here, the cutters, I was cutting something I probably shouldn't have been cutting with them, and now you can see a gap, so it doesn't cut quite as well. And he just ordered me a new one, and I will be getting it here, probably within the next week or two. But again, you know, with Icon, if the same thing was to happen, I could walk into the store today and walk out with a brand new one versus having to wait a week or two. So, you know, please leave your comments down below on what you think. And thank you guys for watching the video. Please like and subscribe.